Hello and welcome back to my channel. So after the BRICS summit, which was held in South Africa, after that meeting, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm beginning to see a lot of the dollar is going to collapse predictions are beginning to happen. I don't know if it's just me. Let me play this video for you guys. At least you need to be aware. You need to know if it happens or if it's happening, you will know that at least you heard it from somewhere. You guys, let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll leave my own thoughts according to the research that I've done. Make sure I watch this video up to the end. Let's get into the video.
Is the US dollar collapsing? I've gotten this question a bunch, and I'm Vivian, your rich BFF, and your favorite Wall Street girl who's gonna break this down for you like you're a fifth grader. Short answer, unlikely, but here's why people are freaking out. Right now, the US dollar is the currency of international trade, meaning other countries have to have US dollars on hand if they want to buy and sell stuff. AKA, the dollar is the world's reserve currency. Kinda like how you can't use real life money in the video game Animal Crossing, but you can use real money to buy bells and then use bells to buy in-game items. But BRIC Squad, not this one, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa want to challenge the status quo. Think of them like Draco Malfoy and co. Why should Harry Potter, aka the US, be the chosen one given all this attention and power? BRIC Squad wants love too. And to get this power, they start building a relationship with Voldemort, aka Saudi Arabia. Why? Because Voldemort leads the Death Eaters and Saudi Arabia leads OPEC. They're an oil cartel that controls the world's oil supply. Right now, oil is bought and sold in US dollars, but if that were to change, that could significantly lower international demand for the dollar, weakening our currency and bolstering whichever currency we're replaced by. But I'm not super stressed about this for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of the fear-mongering headlines have been from crypto publications. They're trying to convince you that the dollar's collapsing so you'll run to crypto and their business will benefit. It's not really accurate though. Two, currency value comes from a country's military power, and BRIC Squad is miles behind the US. 3, the Middle East is still reliant on US technology. And 4, the Great British Pound lost reserve currency status in the 30s, but it's still relevant. Even though the value of the US dollar will fluctuate over time, it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
You think is coming is a recession. What your crazy friends might say to you is coming is maybe a depression. You'd be mistaken. Those are lies. What is coming is a collapse of the dollar. You haven't had one of those. We've never experienced the collapse of the dollar, of the world's reserve currency. This will make us Venezuela. Make no mistake. If you want to be prepared, prepare yourself like people should have prepared in Venezuela. Soon, I don't know when, but it will happen overnight. Soon, everything will be collapsing, and the banks will close, and there will be chaos.
You will not know this type of information because it's not shared in the media and it's not taught with financial education. It's important to understand deep what is actually happening in the monetary system. Not just currently right now, looking past, deep in the past to see patterns. The question I get all the time, JB, is the dollar going to collapse? There's truly a slow death of the dollar happening right now, and there's a reason behind it. This is why financial education is so important. So what I'm about to share with you is just my opinion, not financial advice. Don't make any moves based on what I say. This is based on my perception, my research, and my internal dialogue. So let's go back in history to 1971, where we detached from the gold standard, making our money fake. When we detached from the gold standard, the reason why we did is because they did not have enough gold to back our money. So President Nixon told us he was protecting us from speculators, and we went along with our day. No financial education. Well, around 1974, they created what's called the petrodollar. This is really important to write down. The petrodollar was created in 1974, which made all oil traded in US dollars. This is what gave the US global dominance, global superpower. So countries have been at the mercy of US dollars for oil. So countries like Japan, where they have to export most of their stuff to get paid in US dollars to buy oil to operate, anytime anything happens with our economy in most countries, to include us raising interest rate, it destroys their economy. So there's a transition that you need to pay attention to in America from 2006 to 2008, which was our great financial crisis. The other countries were looking at us saying, what the hell is going on in America? They're dominating and controlling our currency through their interest rates, and their bad policies are now affecting us and creating a global ripple effect. But they were all bound by the petrodollar. So what you need to pay attention to is BRICS was created, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa in 2009, right at the same time Bitcoin's inception came about. And about 12 years ago, there's a gentleman that put out a video, and I showed on my YouTube channel, linked in my bio here, where he says, if this happens, it will be the slow death of the US dollar. He stated 12 years ago, where I broke down 2012 for you guys in many different factors, and I'll break it down once again for financial education. From 2012 transition into 2011 transition to 2012, he talked about if this happens, it will be the slow death of the US dollar. And we're experiencing it right now as we sit in 2023, 12 years later. He said, if the petrodollar dies, that will be the death of the dollar. So let's talk about 2012, and then I'll bring you to 2023 present, where you need to pay attention, because many of you are going to pay because you're not paying attention. So 2012, multiple things happening. The FOMC was created. Future Oversight Committee, Gary Gensler sits on that, or was part of building that, which is Future Oversight Committee regulating non-bank financial institutions, preparing us for this moment. The bank bail-in committees were created. They knew that the banks were going to be in a position that they're going to need to bail in around this time. Rosie Rios was told to reduce coin and cash usage. She was the last person to sign the $100 bill and said she was responsible for bringing in a new currency. She sits on the board for Ripple. But she couldn't because Obama turned on the rescue plan, which turned the printing machine on full blast. And when GDP growth goes up, you cannot reduce coin and cash usage because baby boomers are the largest amount of wealth and they use coin and cash. So I think we can agree that there was a big transition in 2012. Well, at the same time, the BRICS countries were formed to start to break away from the West and the dollar dominance. So now as we sit today in 2023, there's a radical transformation happening right now. So 12 years later, nobody's paying attention to this because the news is not reporting this or making it a big deal, worried about Jamie Foxx being cloned, worried about aliens in the sky, when the BRICS countries just increased by 6 countries, becoming larger than the America's population. And they are working to de-dollarize. And they're doing that by trading oil in their own currency. So if they continue to de-dollarize and start trading oil in their local currencies, that will start to weaken the dollar. And if we stop the petrodollar and it gets shut down, you will see hyperinflation in the US monetary system. The dollar will be worth nothing. Now, I don't think this is going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen next month. I don't think it's going to happen next week or next year. I truly believe that we're in a transition into a central bank digital currency, digital money. I'm not supporting that, but that's what we're transitioning it into. We're transitioning a new way of money moving through the system and a new way to regulate currencies. I truly believe that by 2030, I don't think America will be the dominant currency anymore. I think it'll be a bag of currency that's regulated through a central bank digital currency and a central intermediary. There'll be one global economy, and money will move at the speed of light. There'll be an even playing field, more even around the trading systems. And it'll turn into who is most productive, who is most effective, and who is providing the best resources. The reason why they don't teach you this in America is because it makes America look really bad. And every time you see Jerome Powell come on and raise interest rates, we are destroying other people's economy. So imagine if you're on the other side of it, if you were the other countries like Japan, that they literally have to export to get cash into their system, American dollars, so they can buy oil. And every time we raise interest rates, Korea, South Korea, Japan, all these other countries, when we raise interest rates, it destroys their value of their dollar. America's at 120% debt to income ratio. Our bond yield's inverted, sucking liquidity out of the banks. They keep having to raise the debt ceiling to pay for critical services that are your critical services, your Social Security in the future. So they have to borrow money from other countries to pay for critical services. 33% of our debt's held outside the United States by Japan and China. They hold most of it. And we just got downgraded as a country from AAA to AA+. And the regional banks are starting to get downgraded. So it cost us more to borrow now. So now it cost us more to borrow. We got downgraded as a country. Our regional banks are getting downgraded. They're all over leveraged. There's no money in the system. Every single dollar in the system is someone else's debt. And now the BRICS countries are working to de-dollarize. They're starting to cooperate and come together and build allies to detach from the West. So that's my narrative that I'm following. That's how I'm breaking down my financial investments and my strategy as I move forward. There's a reason why Warren Buffett closed out of most American stuff and went into Japan or went into the Asian countries. There's a reason why he closed out of all of his bank stocks except Bank of America in 2020, increased his position in Bank of America and Apple. These guys can see the future. by studying the past. So study Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. It will radically transform your life. Gain a foundation of God, faith, build some family principles, stop fighting an invisible enemy, and get your shit together. Make financial education, spiritual education, and rewiring the foundation your number one priority. Don't protest, don't fight an invisible enemy, protect your family, and make this the biggest transition in generational wealth your family has ever seen, because it's upon us. Do the opposite of the 99% to become the 1%. The money will always end up in the same hands. That will never change. Warriors, rise! Get your shit together. Love you guys. Remember, I will never proactively DM you. Those are all scammers. All scammers. I do not invest people's money. I do not have an investment platform. That is not me communicating with you. We have an education platform. We also have free consultations to teach you tax code 7702 tax-free retirement. Look up the tax code first, and we'll show you how we secure, compound, and grow our money like the wealthy. It doesn't matter how much money you make in crypto unless you learn how to secure and compound that wealth. In my bio here, you can set up a free consultation, and by popular demand, because of thousands of comments which you can read and the hundreds of messages we get a day, I actually have a book coming out within a week, completely free, downloadable book that breaks down exactly what I am doing. There's been so many questions, I'm like, F it. I'm writing a book and I'm gonna give you exactly what I did the last 5 years to change my family's timeline, mentally, physically, and wealth-wise. So sit tight for that. It'll be coming out. We're beta testing it with our internal warriors, and then it's going to go public based on the feedback, and so you can have the full blueprint that I do. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it's worked for me. It's not financial advice. It's just exactly what I did. So stay tuned for that. Love you guys.
Okay, so I had to dig in deeper to find some simple terms, some simple English to make everyone understand this, like as in why the dollar is suddenly going to collapse. And here's my research on this, and this information is by the economist Bill Klatt. So the SWIFT system is basically the oxygen that is needed for cross-border payments to breathe. In other words, you are not allowed to send your money from one country to another unless that routes through the SWIFT system, which is basically a computer transmission system that allows banks, both domestic and international, to trade currency back and forth as a clearing settlement within the US banking system. In order to trade dollars, you need to access the SWIFT system, and if you are kicked out of the SWIFT system, you cannot trade dollars, and if you cannot trade dollars, you can't buy oil and you can't sell your goods globally, in essence. By SWIFT kicking Russia off the messaging system in the beginning of March of 22, and the US Treasury freezing Russia foreign exchange resources, the goal of weaponizing the dollar was to isolate Russia at the start of the Ukraine war. Well, that backfired because Russia found new buyers for its oil and consumer goods, and it's making money hand over fist. More than trading with EU or the US, Russia will now be doing international transactions using BRICS currency in countries that are beginning to ditch the US dollars. Big countries and rich in gold and oil because the US treasury kicked Russia off SWIFT when it froze their FX reserves. That alone actually ended the US dollar reserve. Economist Bill Klatt wrote, but no one realized it yet.